Oh boy, where do we start with this game? Well, Remnant 2 was an interesting experience, right? I mean, you kind of get what you expected. Okay, so let's start with this. Unreal Engine 5 looks great. Unreal Engine 5 improves so many games and their graphical quality. Let's give that to this game. It looks pretty, and I like that. Now, holy crap, let's just talk about the story. What the frick was this? It was horrible story, bro. By the way, everyone's buying this game for the freaking gameplay. Only reason anyone buys this freaking crap, I don't even know why. They hired a writer, okay? The game was so crap. Horse crap, dog water, awful. There is no, to this game, there is no story. You have this, okay, right? We start this game with we call it the Diversity Avengers. And you have this freaking Asian chick that basically has Jesus powers, arbitrary Jesus powers. By the way, this is a trend in a lot of modern fiction. Women with sudden arbitrary powers. Oh wow, she's super strong, super independent female boss lady. Look at her. Isn't she brave and beautiful? Bro, no one cares. Bro, she's annoying. Bro, no one buys it that she's powerful. Bro, she makes stupid decisions. And then she ends up, later in the story, entering a perpetual chi stance, noising her fingers for I guess hours on end, hanging out with some freaking dude made of light or whatever, with a freaking rag over his head. So I guess he's like some kind of suffocated turban wearing dude. I don't know. The guy's a freaking weirdo. Okay, she's hanging out with this dude, noising her fingers as she chi stances and collecting her chi orbs as she just sits there in the labyrinth. Okay, crappy, stupid story. And then when we get to the end of the story, oh my gosh, she literally gets penetrated by a freaking pillar of light. All of her chi orbs collect within her womb, and I guess she has a light baby. Freaking stupid. The freaking story is dumb in this game. Again, the point to be made here, people are only buying this game, just saying it outright, for the gameplay. Holy crap, the freaking writers, terrible. Remnant 2 was an intro. So I played the previous Remnant from the Ashes, and there's a couple of things that I have to criticize about Remnant from the Ashes. Certain elements, the level design was not great. I did not like the level design. So there's some changes that they made in this game that I prefer over Remnant from the Ashes. There's other changes that they made that I prefer Remnant from the Ashes over this game. So one of the biggest issues with this game, though, the leveling. One huge issue with this game is that the leveling is capped. It's basically based on DLC. So the amount of DLC they come out with, the more the cap raises for your trait points, which you can invest into different stats and boost your character. Now, what's a huge issue with this? There's a bunch of useless traits, and I don't know why you're limited. These traits barely buff your character, bro. I don't know why you're limited in the scope of all that you can upgrade. And also, by the way, that damages in this game. Back in Remnant from the Ashes, you could get unlimited trait points. So you can have a bunch of different trait cards maxed out. If you get enough trait points, and you could get all of them maxed out, but you can keep on maxing out your stats with the trait point cards that ultimately doesn't really buff up your character that much. Okay, cool. It's just a random upgrade I get, and it rewards me for playing the game more. In this game, what do we get? We don't get that. Instead, they cap you, and that's terrible. That punishes players for wanting to play more of your game. Ultimately, okay, I invest all this time, but I'm not getting all this reward for really inconsequential upgrades anyways. Why can't I just max out my inconsequential upgrades, right? Why can't I just max out all my trait points? So I don't know what they were thinking with this game when doing that. That was a terrible decision in the design philosophy. Now here's something great that I love about this game that they changed from the previous game. And instead, so what they did in Remnant from the Ashes is that they made it where your armor sets give you bonuses. I didn't like that, right? It kind of locks you into using a certain type of armor. In this game, armor really doesn't mean almost anything. It's kind of inconsequential. I mean, it kind of matters, but the armor is it means a whole lot less than in the previous games. It's only really for the armor rating to give yourself damage reduction, which doesn't even really mean that much, but it means something. Okay, whatever. The thing I like about this game, Remnant 2, is that instead of the armor sets, they replaced it with these archetypes. And these are basically classes, archetypes and sub-archetypes. So that you get all these different classes, and you can select one of the classes to be your main archetype, and you can select another one of the classes to be your sub-archetype. And really, the main, like the difference between main and sub is really all it does is you just get a core passive ability with your class. So I think like for example, I think the who was it? The hunter, I believe. You get, when you're damaging an enemy's weak spot, you get an extension on your ability. You get an extension of its effect if it's your main archetype. So you get just small bonuses like that. It doesn't really like mean that much, but it means something, right? If you're min-maxing a build for the highest difficulty. By the way, this part of the game, girl boss right here. This is the kind of bullcrap I'm talking about. Diversity Avengers. This game has a terrible writing, stupid writing. This right here, literally, they try to make a clown out of your character who's most likely going to be male. And oh, look, she saved you. She saved you when you were just happenstancingly going to get freaking ran over by the train that's been sitting there for how many freaking decades? The train was sitting there. How many decades? Oh, but she's gonna save you. I don't know what's going on with the freaking, the smoke effects. Anyways, they pulled freaking woke, not egalitarian bull crap, and this chick is one of the most annoying characters in the game. She's supposed to be a girl boss. She's supposed to be all independent, strong woman. Screw this character. I absolutely hated her, and they completely tossed her away after this beginning segment of the game. Holy crap, that face! What the frick? And by the way, the only attractive female in this game really is the Asian chick, and she's not even that hot. And they didn't even bother sexualizing her. It's like, what the frick is wrong with you guys? This is the freaking issue with modern gaming, right? We don't have any attractive women. They don't even, well, okay, again, she wasn't even really that attractive. When they're barely attractive, they don't do anything with it. That's another crappy thing about this game. But anyways, so you get these archetypes that replaces the armor sets, and I like it. That's one of the things I like about this game, but and you level up those archetypes, and it gives you more bonuses as you level up to level 10. Outside of that, man, like, you know, okay, something else though, give it to this game. The level design was improved quite a bit, right? It really helps that the game looks prettier than Remnant from the Ashes, but ultimately they did improve the level design. Like in Remnant from the Ashes, I hated the world design. It was so ugly, the world. I didn't like playing through the levels. Everything looked so ugly. In this game, everything looks pretty good, you know? Going through the levels, I don't feel disgusted by what I look at all the time because things are just barely pretty. I forget if I mentioned this, but this is a very nihilistic story, by the way. And I was mentioning this in the Liza P review, and I completely forgot like which game I was talking about. But this game has such a nihilistic ending where it's like everything that you just did in the previous game and this game, none of it matters. We completely recycled the timeline, kind of bull crap. So all your decisions, everything you did doesn't matter. Like this freaking nihilistic bullcrap, I just cannot stand it in modern gaming. But you know, with this game though, the level design, again, very well done, very interesting. The puzzles, much more interesting than the previous game. The previous game had decent puzzles, but this game did even better. And the puzzles are interesting, man. Now, you know, one of the issues is that they're very nonsensical to some extent, to the point that it's a lot of Google puzzles. You're going to be looking up on Google a lot. Like, what the frick do I do, Google? So it's like, you know, the puzzles really don't mean that much. They're kind of annoying to figure out. For me personally, that's what it is. But hey, if you want to figure out some annoying in-game puzzles, I mean, they're there and they're interesting. The way that they're set up is interesting. Some of, again, they're kind of annoying, but this game bothered to make some puzzles, and the idea, the effort and the overall idea of the puzzles, there's enough diversity of the puzzles to make it interesting, right? They're not reusing a lot of stuff, and the puzzles aren't completely lame. So as annoying as they are, the puzzles in this game, we can give it a pass. They're okay. The boss fights and the overall boss designs, much more imaginative than the previous game as well. And with this game, bro, like I found myself, you know, having fun fighting the bosses. The bosses were all very unique. They were all very creative. the way that you fight them all, their mechanics, it's cool. And dude, the amount of secrets that they put into this game, like the secret ways that you can do certain boss fights, that was cool. You know, you can put yourself in a capsule and one of the regular enemies will walk up to the capsule and basically throw you into a pit. And they just throw in little interesting tidbits of how do you get into secret boss fights, and how do you get certain pieces of gear? There's interesting secret ways that you get the pieces of gear, and that's cool. You know, so they put a lot of, and by the way, I don't even know how people find this freaking crap without Google. You know, how do they do it? I don't know. Some guy got lucky, but it is cool. It is cool. This game, like all the secrets it puts in here, this is kind of like that is something really, it's iconic gaming whenever you create game and gameplay loop designed around secrets that give you certain benefits and rewards, or, you know, certain drops that you can't get otherwise, right? They try to make it an experience to get your loot. And something I really like about this game is that every piece of gear that you don't get a million different colors of that gear. And then you have to constantly pick up, you know, oh look, the gray helmet is better than the blue helmet because of stats and because of my level. All right, I'll equip that. And then the next like 3 levels, I'll be picking up the purple version of that helmet, and then I'll go back to the freaking yellow version, which is, you know, 1 rarity above gray or whatever, right? I hate that crap. It's terrible game design. What this game does is that you collect gear, you collect loot, you know, weapons, armor pieces, whatever, and it's one and done. And all you have to do is just upgrade it, right? And that's the progression loop and system. So that is great with Remnant. That's something I really like about the Remnant games, is that you don't have to just constantly get the same gear and then upgrade that gear constantly over and over and over again. I mean, that's loot fatigue is a huge issue with gaming. And I don't know why we ever even went down this road. You know, you have the Assassin's Creed games. They did that. You have games like Diablo. It does that. It's why? What is fun about getting the same gear over and over, having to upgrade that same gear over and over, compared to a game where you get the gear once, you upgrade that gear, you min-max that piece of gear, and everything that you invested into that one piece of gear, you keep those upgrades, right? Way better. And that means you can experiment a little bit more with the loot in the game, right? Because you can just invest in different pieces of gear, figure out which one you like. Now, of course, there's not a whole lot of resources in this game to allow you to really try out that many pieces of gear. And that's one of the biggest issues with this game compared to the previous game. In the previous game, scrap is mostly easy to come by for the most part, especially once you get into later game. In Remnant from the Ashes, scrap is pretty much everywhere. Things are mostly inexpensive. It's just the materials that are expensive. This game, bro, holy crap. You don't get that many upgrade materials, and worst of all, bro, worst of all, in the end game, you do have quite a few materials, let's be honest. The biggest issue is scrap. You barely have any scrap in this game, so you can barely upgrade anything. And there's really no good options for how to improve your scrap payouts. So maybe in future DLCs, they're going to make it easier. That's something a lot of these games do, is that in future DLCs, they just make things easier to grind for. But right now, as of me finishing this game, the first DLC came out, so there's nothing that's improved the scrap gain in this game. But outside of that, right? So you're by the way, you're gonna be grinding your freaking face off, is the point I'm making. You can't really experiment with many options. So that's a huge drawback. But again, with games like these, though, there is a little bit more wiggle room to figure out what weapons you want to keep and utilize, compared to games that just, right, you're constantly getting the same gear over and over again. But it's a trade-off, because in this game, you can barely upgrade stuff. So take it for what you will with that point. It's, you know, it's they kind of misplayed their hand on that with scrap in this game. But story absolutely meant nothing, bro, in this game. So stupid, so exaggerated. Bro, like, look at this scene here. This was one of the dumbest scenes in the game. This chick, the way that she behaves, look at all these enemies. They're not devouring you. I don't, and bro, oh my gosh. And they were you were a good friend. You were a good friend. What the shut up, biatch. I hate you. You know, like, what is she talking about? Like, and why is she getting so sentimental in this scene? It was the dumbest thing, and it was so contrived. The writers just wrote the scene to be the way it was. It wasn't organic in any way whatsoever. And it was super stupid how they were saved. And of course you expect it. It was like, look, Frozen. Oh, gosh. because Migraines Jesus, the star show of this freaking game, yeah, you'll see her soon. Oh my gosh, so stupid. This was one of my most loathed parts of the game. And of course, she has to pull that egalitarian move. Oh, look, a woman with a knife. Oh, putting it up to the freaking guy's throat. Like, get the frick out of here. Like, again, we have to make women act like they're tough. And here's Migraines Jesus. Yep, she's holding her freaking head. Oh, dear God. You know, freaking Jesus over here having a hard time with her. And I hate this. Dude, I freaking hate this modern trope where we have to equate women with the power of arbitrary power of Jesus. It is the most annoying thing, and it's just us trying to prove an unproven value about women, that they're super powerful and strong and they have this hidden potential that no one's ever seen, and look, she can just pause the whole world. Get out of here with your freaking stupid woke bullcrap. So anyways, it just sends me, bro, this just brings back a whole bunch of bad memories and emotions. Anyways, the story in this game means nothing. Literally means nothing. There is nothing that this game has to say through its story. There's nothing that they have offer. And, you know, I'm not trying to make this video turn into another video here, but there's a huge element of enlightenment that matters in storytelling, and enlightenment is based in reality. Well, guess what era we're living? By the way, this is the hottest chick in the game, this Asian chick. You know, it could have sexualized her more. Screw my life. But anyways, enlightenment is based in reality, and we don't have that in modern storytelling. Modernist storytelling doesn't have a premise within reality. So that's one huge reason for why so much modern writing sucks. But again, that's a separate video. We're not going to get into that here. Let's just put this simple, bro. This story was written by a freaking Tumblr or some kind of Redditor. That is absolutely how the characters speak, how they act. Again, that freaking cringy scene that we see before that freaking, those monsters get, they take forever to kill their freaking prey. Their prey is finished, and they didn't just devour them. What the frick is going on? And they just sit there. It's so silly. It's so stupid. The scene is completely exaggerated, and these are writers who are not aware of their own value in the scenes that they are portraying to you. They don't understand, like, hey, the pacing of the scene that I just created matters a lot. And, oh yeah, and by the way, right here, I'm letting my freaking AI teammates just kill all the enemies for me. But, you know, dude, it's just, these are amateur writers. They should be fired. They're not worthy of their jobs. The gaming industry used to get terrific writers. Used to get writers, or, you know, I mean, yeah, and the ones that weren't so great, you know, they weren't offensively bad. But nowadays, we just get these freaking soy boy Redditors, Tumblr types of writers, and they make this freaking horse crap. Exaggerated scenes where characters like barely know each other. We barely know who these characters are. These characters are barely even connected to each other to begin with. And we're like trying to have this sad scene that one of the characters that's totally annoying, ugly, and just stupid. Oh no, this character's going to die. Oh, I'm so sad. What's going to happen here? And that's the biggest issue with this game, bro, is that you have many instances of that for what little story even exists. And then you also look at, you have these later in the story, you get a lot of these ethereal characters, right? They're basically like in the realm, like heaven-like realm, or like a realm between reality and I guess your imagination. I don't know. Anyways, these ethereal worlds, magical, mystical realms, or whatever it is that you go to, and you have these characters who are basically like the gods of this world of Remnant, and these air quotes, gods. One thing that you can notice about the way that they're written is that they always speak ambiguously, and they always speak in these vague manners, right? Like, you know, a rock is not always heavy unless it's light. And you're just sitting there like, okay, was that supposed to be deep? And, you know, that's just a random example, but they always say these stupid things that, and it's because of how vague and ambiguous you say whatever your statement is, it's supposed to come off as intellectual. Right? And something when we were playing this game, something that I said was, these are the type of writers who write everything as, oh, this is how an intellectual speaks, not what an intellectual speaks. And this is a huge issue of like what you get in a lot of modern storytelling, especially in modern writing, especially with a game like Remnant. And it does that so much. Like the characters that aren't these freaking, like, what do you call them? I don't know. These modern people characters are so annoying in every game. You know, modernity sucks. And modern characters that mirror modernity suck. And that's what we get with the human characters in this game. They absolutely blow. Any characters that are in any way traditional towards like traditional masculinity in any way, they're the best characters, but there's like none of them. Like Ford is pretty much the only one, and again, that's not saying much, bro. That's not redeeming anything, but you know, that's just if you're picking for straws, right? It's like, okay, this is the little I have. When you look at though all these like ethereal characters that are supposed to be like the gods of this world, they change the writing style with them, and it's just where they fake like they're really deep and wise, and like they're trying to say something without saying anything at all. Holy crap, dude! Like the overall execution of this story and this game and the characters in this game, all of it just falls so flat. And what these kinds of developers, what they depend upon, oh look, oh no, she's coughing, and it's not going to matter after this beginning section of the game. One of the biggest issues is that, my gosh, let's just be honest, storytellers like these, they depend on you. For one, they depend upon erasing the past. Number one. Number two, they depend on you either being so stupid not to be able to call them out for their horse crap that they're trying to sell you, or they're also depending on you just not investing in anything from the past, right? You didn't read any prior fiction. You didn't experience any games right before our wokeness era of modern gaming. They depend upon you having very low exposure to fiction and to creative products. That you think a game like this, you as the audience, you think a game like this is, oh yeah, here we go, Diversity Avengers moment here, and this is the only moment. God, what a freaking joke. But they depend upon you not having any knowledge of prior works, so that you can't compare the horse crap of this game and its lack of quality writing, and just its overall lack of value in the world that it's creating. They depend upon you being ignorant in order to think that this is good. Because, right, if you can't compare it to anything, you're going to think this is okay. But even if you haven't seen any other products, right, any other books, any other movies, any other video games, people can know that this is horse crap, you know? Just the delivery of the characters and how they speak. But we are dealing with a modern issue now where a lot of people, specifically a lot of kids, they interact so little with people that I guess you could really see that, yeah, you know, they probably don't have a good basis of how people interact. Let's be honest. And honestly, that maybe that's what the developers are hoping for. But oh my gosh, dude, the dialogue is so bad. Me watching this is just giving me freaking flashbacks. Like I'm having PTSD on the spot. Anyways, modern writing so bad, and they depend upon you just having no better idea how people communicate, about other stories, how much better they are at displaying characters. And of course, again, you don't really have to know about other products to know how crap this is. And one of the greatest measures for all these woke games is just look at the irrelevance of the story after the games come out. No one remembers this crap. No one talks about it. It's pig trough content. Ship it off and then wait for next content to consume. Oh look, another postmodernist, boring, lazy game. Let's pick it up, let's experience it, and obviously it has no value, and obviously there's nothing to remember within it, and obviously everyone's gonna forget about it, but hey, it's next product, right? Now praise it as modern product, the next product, the pig trough that it is, and just wait for your next serving. And that's this game. So yeah, dude, I don't have anything good to say about the story of this game. It's freaking horse crap. But outside of that, bro, again, the only thing that people are buying this game for is the gameplay. So aside of that, right? Okay, so boss designs, interesting, unique. Obviously, there's different people on the team. The writers did not make the bosses. The writers did not make the levels. Those guys working on those parts of this game did a terrific job. And that's really, if you're looking into buying this game, that's the reason you're going to buy this game. That's the entire reason why you're going to buy it. Other than that, there's nothing else here. And the gameplay, I'm going to be honest, like as a game, is this game fun? Because I described to you a whole bunch of things, right? The loot system, some elements of the combat, the classes, the bosses, the enemies. There's some good enemy variety. Something I forgot to mention in my Liza P review. I guess I'll mention it here. Tons of enemy variety in that game. And that's something that a lot of games don't do a good job at. They get lazy with enemy variety for some reason, and they just don't make a lot of freaking different enemies to encounter. And something great that Liza P does is that you go through the entire game constantly experiencing random new enemies, Man, I should have left that in that review. Anyways, you experience a bunch of new enemies. Enemies, literally, you only experience one time. They have different variations of enemies you only experience one time. They're always throwing at you new enemies to fight, and that's something really good done in a lot of games. And this game does have a lot of enemy variety. If I'm being correct here, I think I'm being correct. I hope I am. This game has more enemy variety than the previous game, so that's really good too. But anyways, outside of all those things, the only reason if you're looking at buying this game, the only reason you're gonna buy this freaking game is because of the gameplay. And if I had to say, like, is this game fun, right? Is it an enjoyable experience? It's roughly okay. That's the best I can put it, bro. Like, it's a Remnant game, and I would say that this game, it's passable, right? Like, you'll pick up this game. The weapons are unique. They're different from each other. The bosses, they're unique. They're different from each other. It's all challenging, but you can overcome the challenge pretty well. This game does throw a lot more rings and accessories at you, so you can experiment a lot with the builds. Now, of course, there's an issue, right? Like we see in a lot of games, they give you so many options of gear that you can use, but only like 3 options matter. Right, all the other options keep you weak, and you're failing the game, and you can't clear levels. And then there's like those 5 other options out of like 50 that actually allow you to play the game and clear the content, right? So there is that whole issue of like the value disparity between gear items, but for the most part, you can experiment with quite a few builds in this game. Again, how useful those different builds are, that's a different story, but you know, you can try to make some shield builds, you can try to make like bleeding, elemental builds, crit builds, damage reduction builds, healer builds, you can do all kinds of stuff. So that's cool, right? And by the way, this game is co-op, you can play it with 2 other friends. So if you wanted to ask, is this game worth buying? I would say, like, for the gameplay, sure. You know, it's like if you're just looking for a passable, mostly difficult experience, right, in a game that is mostly challenging in some rewarding fashion, and it has some interesting level design, game design, boss design. Frick, dude, it's tough because, like, is it really that impressive? No, bro. Like, let's just be honest. Modern gaming, we're having some issues right now with good game design, good gameplay loops. But Remnant is, you know, it's above average. It's like either I would give it a 7 or an 8 out of 10 on the gameplay. And like, so if you were looking at it as like, okay, a game to play, yeah, you know what? Just pick it up. It's decently fun. Okay, it is a quality experience for what it is. For the freaking story, heck no, bro. It's a 1. It's a -1 out of freaking 10. Story of this game doesn't exist. It's not worth any of your time. You're just gonna forget about it. There's no reason to get invested in the story. I don't even know why they have dialogue options in this game. Like, dude, if you're gonna make a crappy story, don't make a story at all. Just don't do it. It's not worth it. No one needs to be spending their money for a crappy story. I don't get it with these developers. If you're gonna hire somebody to make a story for your game, bro, they're high school and college kids who will make a better story for you for free than this freaking horse crap. You gotta be kidding me that we are hiring these freaking untalented POSs for these games, modern games. I don't know what it is about modern gaming, bro, but we have to hire the worst people possible for the role, and they always have to be these freaking weirdos from the internet, people who don't live in reality, they're not normal, and they shouldn't have a job, they should be fired. Anyways, and dude, again, like, if you go to there was a lot of problems with older games, by the way, but their writing was just better. Oh yeah, and by the way, right now, I'm aiming at a freaking another feminist chick. Freaking another, by the way, I mentioned this in Liza P. Another freaking female mechanic / blacksmith character. Because for some reason, in so many games, we have to make women blacksmiths and mechanics. I don't know what the frick that is about, bro. We know that no woman is a blacksmith or mechanic in real life. This freaking egalitarian horse crap that we keep on forcing down, this is subtle propaganda here. And it is so stupid. It's always to push women into masculine roles and to make women out to be like men. And this is something I hate about modern everything, is that they succeed time after time again, making men more attractive than women. What the frick is going on here, bro? This game, again, the only attractive chick is the half Asian chick, and they don't do anything to sexualize her. And again, she's not even that hot. She's decently hot. But there's things that, okay, instead this, make men the dominant workforce again in gaming. The only workforce in gaming. Holy crap, do that again. We'll get freaking sexy female characters again. Dude, when you go back just 10 years ago, everyone was in competition for the hotness awards. One game after another. Hot chick, hot chick, hot chick, hot chick, hot chick. Nowadays, everyone is in competition for the ugly awards. And this game contributes quite a bit to that. It's just, holy crap, I hate modernity. Freaking bullcrap. And again, you just look back, bro. The writing used to be better in so many games. Even games that don't have impressive level design, world design, game design. Like you think about like some older Ratchet and Clank games. They had good jokes. They had good stories. Like these are worlds and stories. They're so ridiculous and ludicrous. They're so much better than all the modern horse crap that we get. They're so much more charming and funny and they're not nihilistic either. How much I miss just the old writers. Nowadays we don't. Okay, you know what? This is turning into another video at this point, but of course it still ties into the point I'm making with this game. This game sucks. Its story sucks. You're not buying this game for the story. It's not worth it. You're wasting your money. If you bought this for the story, or you think there's anything redeeming about the story, you wasted your money. And I hope you enjoy watching your money burn, and I hope that you enjoy flagellating yourself, because I know that I feel sorry for you when you do that. And that's exactly what this game is doing to you. I mean, it's flagellating you. It's a religious practice and wokeism and egalitarianism to be suffering through a product like this for its story. So again, you're picking up a game like this strictly for the gameplay. And the gameplay itself, now, okay, it's annoying that we have to go to this guy every time by the way, we want to upgrade our potions in this game, or whatever, your healing item, the dragon heart. And also if you want to acquire your archetype. And by the way, there's a good number of archetypes in this game too. In the base game, there's a good number of archetypes, and they're all pretty interesting. They do offer quite a bit of game loop diversity, build diversity. And so those are good things too about this game. So yeah, you know what, those are pretty much all my thoughts. Pick this game up if you are just looking for a decently challenging gun souls like experience. And because this game is a gun souls like game, that makes it pretty unique. And just for that one reason alone, it puts it atop, like basically has no competition. So it's immediately pretty much your best option for a game like this. That's really the main reason you're going to get this game, is just because of its uniquity within the market. Outside of that, nothing really redeeming about the game. But again, you do really got to give it to the level designers and the boss designers, because they put their work in. Those guys, and they made sure that you were getting quality out of the gameplay and the content of this game. Now, how much content is really in this game? Not a lot, bro. And the freaking DLC was terrible on content, because they just reused a bunch of assets. But I mean, Remnant from the Ashes really didn't have that much content either. So I think, like, relatively, this game has pretty much the same amount of content as Remnant from the Ashes, with a couple of drawbacks. And again, the DLC, like compared to Swamps of Corsus. So I guess we're gonna throw in a little bit of review from the DLC for, what was it called again? Jeez, I don't even remember what the DLC was called. See, I can remember the Remnant from the Ashes DLC, Swamps of Corsus, which adds a lot of content, by the way, a whole new area to play through and explore, new bosses. In the what was it, the Fallen King DLC for this game, the first DLC, it's terrible. Like there's like, I think there's like two or three unique bosses. There's not a lot, and there's only one main area, and it's not very big. And then they reuse a bunch of other the base games areas and assets for the DLC. There's really not a lot of new content, not a lot of new gear, not a lot of new archetypes. There's really very little content that they add. Now they do, for this upcoming year, 2024, they have 2 DLCs that they're looking to release. So we're going to see if we're going to be playing through that. We're going to see how much content they added. But yeah, man, outside of that, that's pretty much this game, The DLC, not too impressive. This game, again, the gameplay, it's largely good. And the guns, again, the guns. They have actually, this is something some games struggle with, is weapon diversity. This game does a good job with weapon diversity. It has some really basic guns that don't have like anything interesting about themselves, but you know, if you're just looking for like a raw experience, you can use the basic guns. Then there's unique guns that you typically get by playing through the levels, and a lot of them are very interesting, right? They all have different ways that you utilize them. You can use bows, you can use shotguns, and they all function differently, and some of them are more mystical and magical than some of the other more grounded ones, but they all function differently. They all are mostly legitimate weapons too, by the way. There's very few guns that are just legitimately under power. And for the most part, everything's pretty viable. So, by the way, there's way more mods, as far as I can tell, in this game than the previous game. And there's some other RPG mechanics of how to upgrade your weapons that is not in the previous game too. So that's something good about this game. There's a lot you can do with your builds, and there's a lot more options that you have. So there's just a lot more variety that you can play with. And so that's pretty good. Again, like the people who actually did their job and worked for their paycheck with this game, it was the game designers, level designers. They did their job. The story writers, dude, geez, they need to go back on Reddit and get fired.